Hi,
Hi.
thanks for joining. How's everything been going with you guys?
It's rough. It's okay, but we're hanging in there.
Yeah, I saw your email about the basement too. So you guys you're juggling everyone at home. They're all home, right?
They're all home. My hideout was my basement, and now it's no longer there. It's an option.
Oh, I'm sorry that
What are you
happened, but it
hearing in the
seems like,
background?
oh yeah, just life in the background. That's okay. We're gonna get used to that. I'm in a place with nobody else around me, so at least on my end, you're fine. So don't worry about that. Um, I know that you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about. One of them was toilet training. Is that still what you guys are interested in talking about today?
Sure, we've done nothing with toilet training. It's been overwhelming, but that would be ideal, especially when toilet paper is a hot commodity. Trying to be humorous during this time.
Well, maybe they're less likely to use the toilet paper if we don't train them right now. So you guys have to let me know what is a priority for you. What are some other things that are kind of a challenge right now?
Just structure, because so there's a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and it's just really structure because there are some things they do play well together, and other things I think I just don't have a school schedule for them. And I mean, I can show you what the room is, but the room is a mess, and they play with everything, but they don't play with everything, and just it's kind of a hectic day.
Okay, and is that the playroom or kind of the stuff in the living room that you showed me on your video?
That is their playroom area, but they
Okay.
also take things over to the living room, and the living room becomes their playroom as well.
Yeah, that's good that you're flexible. I mean, you're kind of trapped, so it's nice that they have a little bit of a change of scenery. So, today we're going to talk about older or our younger one. Which one is kind of or both?
So let's start with a 3-year-old. She has always been good about structure, and now without structure, we did see a little bit of regression where she was already fully potty trained, and then um, since the pandemic, and even like when kids weren't being sent to school anymore, and they were consolidating classes, like she was having accidents, more like smears and accidents, and then had accidents the first day we kept her home from the pandemic. I don't know. I've just kind of been telling her she's on vacation and haven't addressed like what is really happening, even though she is kind of aware there's been changes.
Hmm. Yeah, some families have just been saying things like people are sick, but it just depends on how how much they're going to fixate on that. People are sick, need to get better, or things are just closed or broken. So yeah, I mean, whatever you feel like is comfortable for her. Um, my other thought is I know that you're not necessarily going out to all the doctors, but maybe checking in with her pediatrician to see if there's um, any recommendations they have about why that might be happening. If it's related to sort of like a her ability to emotionally cope, we might want to check in with another professional as well, just to make sure that it's not. I don't want to treat it from a behavioral standpoint if there's other things at play, but we definitely can go back to some of the steps that we did or that you're doing now with our 2-year-old for the toilet training. Kind of just think back about the things that you used to do. So really neutral, making sure that there was a routine. So if she's not initiating, or if it's more of not being thorough, then maybe like you had done before, kind of beefing up the reinforcement for her compliance and things like that. But I know in the past, when we saw some regression with her during kind of longer breaks, or I think when somebody got really sick in the family, it seems to be connected a lot to social emotional things for her. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, so I'm probably going this the wrong way, but sometimes I just tell her, I ask her why, but I think it's out of my frustration. I'm asking her why it's happening, even though for her, she's like, I don't know why it's happening. Um, so, so that happens often for my frustration. but then telling her like, hey, like you can have a gummy if you go use the bathroom. Um, but she's still having accidents, like because she is getting gummy for going to the bathroom, but still having accidents.
Okay. All right. So right now you're keeping track of some of that for me, and so I will take a look at the data that you had put together. I know you sent it in an email, but I just haven't opened it all up and downloaded it. It was just before our call, but I will when we schedule our next call. I'll definitely have looked at that and see if I see any patterns or if I have any ideas with that. I think also we could look at her like identifying emotions program. I would think about them as separate, though. I wouldn't necessarily try to run like, how are you feeling when you're having the accident, or how are you feeling when you earn the gummy? I mean, that could be some point, but really kind of separate it and just making sure that she's able to, as much as possible, label her emotions that we see. So if she's snatching something from her sister, for example, you might say to her like, oh, you like look like you're feeling angry, or how are you feeling, and say angry or mad. Just like when she's really happy and she's helping, her young, Ray Ray, when she's helping her, and she seems really proud. She might not have that word proud. She might say happy or gleeful, probably not gleeful, glad. But you can kind of tell her like, it makes you feel really good. You're being a big sister. You're being helpful, and kind of giving her some of that language so that as she matures and you do have some conversations, or maybe if we feel like it is appropriate to have her kind of tacting her emotions at some point, then she'll be able to do that more accurately. And that might help inform, your pediatrician, or if she were, if there were any other kinds of supports that she needed. So, well, I know that we had scheduled a short time, but I do have a little bit of extra time today. So before we schedule our next call, I just wanted to make sure that you're doing okay as you can be, and that you let me know if you need any updated materials or things I can send you electronically. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. So as we continue on with parent training, so it's going to be hard to do like an hour long session, even though in the clinic, like I can show up and do hour long. But can we break it down to like 2 sessions a day, like maybe before the kids wake up, and then maybe when the kids are napping? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can definitely work around what works for you and your family. Most of the code, so for our end, it's a billable, of course. When we're looking at insurance, they have set units, and I think it's a pretty consistent that there are 15-minute units. I have to go and check. I think again, right now, your funder has been really flexible during the crisis and the pandemic, so they increased parent training, not just the amount, but I do think we can code more than one a day. um, don't worry about that. I'll worry about that. I'll go and kind of check with what's appropriate and what needs to be done. But we should definitely be able to set that up. And we do have some, kind of direct hours, which if you're there to facilitate and we have Emma present, then maybe I can be delivering some of that instruction. So you just let me know what is the hardest time for you or the best time for me to support you. And we'll set that up. And I also wanted to Oh, sorry. I also wanted to mention, I know you have some family who are quarantined with you. If you feel like passing the baton, or they're up for some training as well, it's caregiver training. So it does pertain to other people in the household if that's something that either they want, or everyone's kind of willing or interested to do. So that could maybe share the responsibility a little bit and take some of the scheduling off of you. And then as far as routine, really just acknowledge for your children, like, even though we don't, however much you want to tell them about the pandemic is totally your prerogative, but just acknowledge, like, this is different, right? This is tough, or this is hard, or we have to get creative. Maybe that's a really good way to kind of use that. I know they're such creative girls and they like to, draw and build things. And so you can say, like, it's our challenge, maybe that's a good language for them. But I think validating that it's a strange time is really important.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some, like for Emma specifically, she's engaged, she's like running in circles now in short distances. And for me, that used to tell me that she needed to go to the bathroom, but now I can't tell because she's just like, oh, I don't need to. And it looks exactly the same. So I'm thinking that's one of her responses to just be in the house like 5 days a week for school now versus going to school. I mean, we do try to get her outside. It's like recess time and everything, but she is definitely she's running circles and short distances, and that wasn't what she was doing before. And having a hard time differentiating, like, is she needing to go to the bathroom really bad, or is this just her feeling this is like I didn't get my energy out?
Yeah, like is she rambunctious or is she anxious or is it an indicator that she might need to go or an accident might be likely? I think if you can look at, because you've already picked up on that, if you can kind of whenever you can, if you see that happening and then an accident occurs, let's kind of look at the correlation. I do agree that because the environment's different, like her situation is she's now inside, it might just be, energy. So I saw that you in the little video that you sent about their play structure, their kind of jungle gym material. So they are tumbling, they are doing things. You've been very giving of your household for their stuff to be all around. So, um, oh, sorry, we had a quick. Did I lose you there?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay, sometimes that
Okay.
happens. I think everyone's trying to, connect with as many people as possible, right? Physical distancing, but time of isolation. So I was just saying that, building those obstacle courses, giving them a chance to do that. If you increase that, it would be interesting to see if there was a decrease in some of that self
Okay.
running or exercise. But these are just thoughts. I mean, you're going to have to let me know, or if you don't have the ability to take that data right now, that's okay. You can also use the videos that you've been using. So if it's something that you're like, look, here she is doing it again, and it's hard to describe, just take a quick 1 minute clip and you can send that to me.
I think you brought up a good point. I might have been really good about exercise the first week of the pandemic, and then just life took over and kind of in this weird, I don't know, tunnel.
Well, that's fair, and cut yourself some slack. So I think too, if we look back to how we were scheduling their days over the long like holiday breaks, this is very different because we can't go to the store. We're not seeing our neighbors. We are, maybe still walking the dog, but it's really restricted. But remember when we would do like 2 hour chunks? So in this 2 hours, we're gonna create something and we're gonna, get our wiggles out. So you don't have to schedule every 10 minutes. You can still, make dinner, or if you need to be on a work call or whatever it is that you're also juggling. But they know, hey, between 8 and 10, we're gonna do some art and we're gonna do some activity that might help you kind of get it back into their day more intentionally. I'm sure they're still finding ways,
Yeah.
climbing on deck, climbing on couches, right? So, all
Yeah.
right, okay. So, why don't we go ahead? I will double check today when we get off. I'll contact the funder. I'll look back through the contract, all that stuff I need to do on my end. But if you could give me maybe a day, I should be able to get back to you about how we can structure them. We definitely can make them just like how we made this one. We can make them short or shorter, and then if you need or if you want to change that as we move forward, then that's fine. You keep communicating with me, and I can keep communicating with what we need with the authorization. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.